begin. First, President McGraw, Vice President Craner, senior leadership, distinguished faculty, honored guests, parents, proud parents, congratulations. And the fabulous graduates of the class of 2010. Congratulations. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. I am humbled to be back on this vibrant campus. I come here quite often. I try to get here at least once a year. And I want to say thank you, particularly to President McGraw and Vice President Craner for bestowing this lovely gift upon me. This will go right up on my wall and hang very handsomely alongside my political science degree that I earned from Binghamton University in 1985. So, when I graduated back in 1985, Elie Wiesel was our commencement speaker. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had to choose between Elie Wiesel or the former star of Dirty Sexy Money, the choice is clear. Elie may have won the Nobel Prize, been knighted by the Queen, and survived Nazi Germany. But did he get to kiss Sharon Stone on the big screen? He may speak 5 languages, won the Congressional Medal of Honor and the Presidential Medal of Freedom, but did he have a cameo in Forgetting Sarah Marshall? I think not. You've chosen wisely. Some of you may be asking, who the hell is this guy? Or for those of you who are slightly more enlightened, which Baldwin brother is that? Well, don't worry, my mother still confuses us, but indulge me for a moment while I clarify. I was not the one in Hunt for Red October. I was in Backdraft. I was not the one in The Usual Suspects. I was in The Squid and the Whale. And I am not the one on 30 Rock. I was on Dirty Sexy Money, and I'm currently starring on Parenthood, Gossip Girl, and the cable feature The Craigslist Killer coming in January. Check local listings. It's tough to be a celebrity, I tell you. You gotta be strong, real strong. Tough getting old and Holly weird, too. Been at it over 20 years now. I used to get, Billy Baldwin? Billy Baldwin? Oh my God, is it you? You are so hot! You are my favorite. Seriously, that sliver with Sharon Stone? Are you kidding me? Can I kiss you? Now it's, oh my God. Oh my God, it's him, oh my God, I can't believe it. You have no idea. Oh my God, you have no idea. My mother thinks that you are so hot. Can I have a picture with you? Seriously, she's gonna freak out. She's gonna freak out. My mother thinks you're so hot. And recently I got my new favorite. You're gonna love this. A woman comes up to me on the street and says, thank you for all your good work. Excuse me, thank you for all your great work. I'm a big fan of yours and the entire family. Well, I say thank you. That's very nice of you to say. She says, how did you all get started in the business? I mean, really, all of those brothers working in Hollywood at the same time. That's so amazing. How did you get started? Did you follow in your father's footsteps? I said, well, my dad was a high school teacher. He's not in the business. She says, no, really? I thought he was an actor too. I said, no, actually, he died when I was in college. He's not in the business, trust me. With that, she says, that's funny. Then who's that guy on 30 Rock? I always thought he was your father. I never said that publicly. I was going to save it for David Letterman to really humiliate my brother, but I broke it out here today. So, YouTube, thank you. Speaking of my father, a.k.a. my brother Alec, he tells a funny story about my decision to attend Binghamton. Much to my annoyance, and to this day, he tells people all the time that the reason I chose to come to Binghamton was because I thought it was in the Hamptons. Seriously, we'll be out to dinner with friends, family, actor buddies, and he does this impersonation of me that sounds something like this. Sure, why not? I mean, come on, it's great out there. The sun, surf, sand, you can't beat it. I've been going there for years. Southampton, Bridgehampton, Binghamton. I love the Hamptons. And I literally can never convince people that that's not true. They always believe it, and then they just perpetuate fact. I almost didn't graduate from Binghamton. The first semester of my senior year, I went to Washington for an internship on Capitol Hill, and as part of that internship, I was to complete an independent study on the work that I was doing on the Hill, which largely consisted of, will that be starch or no starch, Mr. Downey, or would the congressman like one lump or two in his coffee? I also learned to master the auto pen. Many of you don't know what that is, but it's a machine that actually signs the congressman's name, and I would get the constituency complaint, and I would write the response letter, and then I would put it on the auto pen, and I would sign it, and I would fold it, and I would mail it. The congressman never laid eyes on it, never touched it. The letter came in, I read it, I responded, I signed his name, and I sent it. They have no clue what's going on back there. So, by the time I came back from D.C. for my final semester of my senior year, I had not successfully completed the requirements to finish my independent study. And you all know how that final semester of your senior year goes. Long story short, when I went to commencement a couple of months later, there was no diploma inside my hardcover diploma case. By the way, that's your cue to open that hardcover and see if you've made a clean getaway. I'm only kidding. They're empty. Apparently, they mailed them to you a couple of weeks from now. Do they still do that? Okay, they're going to be mailed to you. You'll be fine. Anyway, a year later, I was tossing and turning in my sleep over not having graduated. I thought, my goodness, I attended Binghamton University for 4 years. It's not like I dropped out after a semester. My father must be turning in his grave. I mean, I've got to get this done. So I called Binghamton, and they informed me that I could take a course down in New York City where I lived, and I could transfer the credits back in order to successfully fulfill the requirements to graduate. Then, something unusual happened. I decided I wanted to take a photography course at NYU. It was called Cultural New York, Resources and Images. It was a course about the architecture and building of the city of New York. What the hell this course was doing in the photography department, I have no idea, but it sounded good and I wanted in. They said no. I persisted and somehow finagled my way into an appointment with the chairman of the photography department. He took one look at my application and he laughed. What are you doing here, he asked. I said, well, I'm a former student from Binghamton University who needs 4 credits to graduate, and I would like to take a class in your department in order to do so. He said, you don't go to school here? I said, no. He said, were you a photography major? I said, no. He said, have you ever taken a photography class before? I said, I've had my picture taken. Again, he laughed and said, you don't go to NYU, you're not a photography major, and you want to take a 300-level photography course at NYU in order to graduate from Binghamton. I said, yeah. He said, I have photography majors at NYU that I can't let into this class. Why would I want to let you in? I had no answer. He thought it was some sort of joke. Then he said, how did you even get in here? I said, well, I'm persuasive. He said, apparently. And with that, he said, sorry, buddy. I'm really sorry. I can't help you. Best of luck. Well, as I prepared to leave, he glanced down at my application one last time. Then he looked up and glared at my face for a moment, and he said, your last name's Baldwin? I said, yeah, that's right. He said, where are you from? I told him, Massapequa, Long Island. He said, your old man, Alex Baldwin, the history teacher at Massapequa High School? With a smirk on my face, I said, he sure is. He started to tell me that my father was his teacher back in the late 60s and how tumultuous the times were because of the Vietnam War, the assassination of Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King, and the cultural and political conflicts that raged on the streets and campuses across the country at that time. He said, let me tell you something. Your father was the one who cared. The one who cared. The one who made the difference. The teacher that had the greatest impact and influence on my life and shaping my future, more so than even my own father. I was a troubled kid. If it were not for him, I would have wound up dead or in jail. I mean that. He paused and he smiled. He glanced down at my application again and said, I've always promised myself that if I was ever in a position to do something for Mr. Baldwin, to give something back to him for all the things that he had done for me, I would. And with that, he picked up his pen, he initialed my application, and he said, congratulations, you just graduated from Binghamton University. Excuse me, I want to clarify something. did make me take the class. He just didn't stroke the pen and all of a sudden I graduated. He didn't hit a key on a computer and it was like poof. My degree was like there the next day. As I mentioned, my father was an amazing guy. He was a government teacher and a football coach for 32 years at the crosstown rival high school, the Massapequa Chiefs. He also coached the rifle team, ran the Key Club, the Youth Council, the Cub Scouts, the Little League, and the summer and winter recreation programs. He and my mother raised 6 kids on Long Island in the 60s and 70s on about 20 grand a year. Sometimes I wonder why my father took on so many of these responsibilities. Was it because he needed the extra cash, even though many of these programs were unpaid? Was it for his love for the kids and for the community? Or was it because he couldn't bear to be stuck in a house with a wife who drove him crazy and 6 lunatic kids who wound up in the emergency room every other week? I went to public elementary, junior high, high school, and right here to this fabulous public institution, Binghamton University. The first week I came to school here in 1981, I received a card in the mail from my father with $20 in it. In it, he told me how proud he was of me for attending college, how hard I would have to work, and how lucky I was to be able to attend such an outstanding institution of higher learning. 2 weeks later, he got paid every 2 weeks, I received another card with $20 inside. He said, "How's it going? You studying hard? I wanted to send you a few bucks so you could buy some books or take the boys out for a couple of beers." Like clockwork, the third envelope arrived 2 weeks later. This time it contained a 10-page letter. In it, he told me how much he loved me and how proud of me he was, but that he could no longer afford to send me the $20 every 2 weeks. Money was tight, and he was never very good at balancing the budget, so I was on my own. You know what? I thought it was so awesome of him that he even tried. I always loved him for that, for caring so much about me and for always trying. Transitioning. Binghamton's a lot different place right now. When I was here in the early 80s, up there in College in the Woods, Seneca Hall, room 2Q, there was only 4,000 students here. Back then, when you went to Yale, there were students from all over the world. You went to Penn State, there were students from all over the country. You went to Binghamton, there were students from all over Nassau County. A lot has changed, for sure. A lot has changed. There were no cell phones, no personal computers, no internet, no Facebook. There was no Walmart, Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, or Starbucks. And there were no bars on State Street. Hell, I'm so old that when I was here, the drinking age was only 18 years old. And I worked at the only show in town, the campus pub, right over there in the University Union, where I served honorably for 4 years behind the bar. Back in the day. That job got me through college, and it made me very popular with my classmates. But excuse me for one moment, I just want to have a quick drink. Most people from Hollywood are never at a loss for words. Thank you. A lot has changed. A lot has changed for the better. We now have new programs, new faculty, and new facilities. We have a lot of people to thank for that, many, many people, but one person stands out in particular, Lois DeFleur. I have known and worked with Lois for many years. We have even gone to battle on occasions, but no one has done more for this institution over the last 20 years than the former president, Lois DeFleur. It is due to her visionary leadership during her tenure